Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our first digital marketing webcast. This is a series of 3 webcasts. In our first one, we're starting out with social capabilities in SharePoint 2010. Brad Friels is our presenter. He is a senior technology specialist with Microsoft, and we're glad to have him here with us today. Now, if you guys have any questions throughout the webcast, we do have all of the lines muted, so please use the Q&A manager at the top of the screen, and we'll get back with you right away and answer your questions. So we'll go ahead and get started. Here's Brad.
Hi, guys. Thanks for joining today. So what I want to do is cover the social capabilities that Microsoft has put into the new version of SharePoint 2010. The first thing that I wanted to do, I work with a lot of customers, and some of them have really, bought into the idea of social capabilities and what it can do for their company. But I have a lot of other customers that don't really understand the value of social computing and what it can bring to their enterprises. And so what I wanted to do is spend a couple of minutes just talking a little bit about the social phenomena that's happened. So I don't know how many of you on the phone have a Facebook account, probably most of you, if not all. But I wanted you to look at some of these numbers, okay? And I haven't updated this slide in 3 or 4 months, so it's probably even higher now. But I think there's well over 500 million users of Facebook now. 2/3 of them, maybe even more now, are out of college. It started off very much as kind of a college, high school type of phenomenon, and it's really blossomed into something that everybody in the world really is using. The average person in Facebook has about 130 friends, and I don't know if you can fathom how many minutes are spent on Facebook in a 24-hour period, but it's 16 billion minutes every 24 hours are spent by everybody in total doing something on Facebook. More than 40 million users update their status at least once a day, and the average user creates about 70 new pieces of content each and every month. So when you start thinking about social, it's really in the fabric of what we do every day. Whether you're outside of the workplace, you're in the workplace, social is there, and people are doing it at work. And so what you have is you have this social phenomena that's coming along outside of the workplace, and if you don't provide them some sort of way to do this social phenomena in the workplace, they're going to find other ways to do it and potentially expose some of your IP or your product information through other ways, such as Facebook or LinkedIn or something like that. So by providing them a capability ahead of time, then you potentially have a less risk going forward. It's also a recruiting tool that I've had some customers use. They actually build a social network internally and use it as a recruiting tool to show potential hirees. From a benefits perspective, McKinsey & Company did a survey back in June of 2009, so it's about a year old. And about 69% of the people that responded said that they have a measurable business benefit in a lot of different ways. With the social capability, a lot of things that are happening inside companies now are people are starting to become more innovative and share information in a much easier manner, because now they can put status updates, they can tag themselves, saying what kind of skills they have or what projects they're working on. And so it's easier to find people, and it lowers the cost of doing business because people can get to information a lot faster. And in a lot of cases, it can increase revenues, especially when you start thinking about social in a more, not just inside the workplace, but when you extend it out and maybe use it on your .com site or something. So there are studies out there that show that there are true business benefits for social. So with that, I hope I've at least touched on why you should do social, and you believe some of that, if not all of it. And what I want to do now is cover the key investments in SharePoint that will provide this social framework that you can use and leverage inside your companies. So the biggest part of the social capabilities in SharePoint is the My Site. It is truly almost like a Facebook site. You can create a lot of information on there. You have status updates. You can create a profile. You can add comments. You have a note board, all kinds of things. And I'll show you some of that towards the end of the session today. You also have tags and ratings and bookmarks. So now you can tag anything as you're cruising around the world of SharePoint and even outside the world of SharePoint. So you can tag anything and leverage those tags inside SharePoint. You do have a note board so that you can post notes just like you can in Facebook and LinkedIn and other social technologies. You also have the ability to do some knowledge mining. So I'm going to talk about that and some really interesting concepts with when you leverage Office 2010 and SharePoint 2010. And then you have blogs and wikis and social search. I'm not going to cover as much on the blogs and wikis because I think by now everybody pretty much knows what they are. Just to suffice it to say, SharePoint has a very rich blog and wiki capability if that's something that you need. The My Site has some new capabilities in 2010. There's an activity feed, so I can follow my colleagues or friends and find out what they are doing, status updates, what they're tagging, information like that. Pictures are a lot easier to manage in My Sites, uploading pictures, allowing people to put whatever pictures they want. You can tie blogs and wikis to your My Site to make it easier for people to follow you and understand kind of what you're doing and what you're posting. And you also have a new organizational browser. It's a Silverlight organizational browser, and I'll show that to you in just a little while. So in order to gain the social capabilities, you really have to implement the My Site as a personal portal. It's really your place that you go for your personal information. Some of that information is public and available to everyone. Some of it is kind of a private, almost like a home drive that we've all had over the years, where I can store certain information if necessary. The tags and notes and ratings, so every SharePoint site in the top right, or depending on how you set it up, but out of the box in the top right has an I like it, so that you can tag these different pages as you're cruising around with an I like it, and then you can go back and say, hey, find me everything that I like, right? And you can look at the different pages and decide where you want to go. You also have a tags and notes icon on every single page inside SharePoint. And so you can tag pages as you cruise around SharePoint and go to different sites. You can also post notes that everybody can see. So it becomes very much a way to provide feedback in a social environment. And so people can see how people are tagging certain information. They can read the notes and understand. You can leave a note saying, hey, you should change this because this information isn't accurate or something like that. And then the big key here is you can tag any URL. It doesn't have to be inside SharePoint. And I'll show you how to do that in the demo in just a little bit. This is my last slide. Just wanted to, I mentioned this earlier, knowledge mining. So in Outlook 2010, there is a new checkbox that you need to be aware of. It allows, if you have it checked, what it does is it allows SharePoint and Outlook to analyze the emails that you send and receive to find out more information about you. So it can make suggestions on who you should be friends with, what tags you should be associating yourself with. And so what it does is it gives you just another level of information about who you're talking to and information that you're sharing with people. And I'll show you this in the demo in just a minute. So at Microsoft, we've actually created an internal social network. We call it Mingle. And so you can see right up here in the top right-hand corner of my Site, This is Mingle, and if I click on that little icon, it actually takes me to a site that tells me all I need to know about Mingle, and you know, different capabilities that are available to me in Mingle, and any information I need to know about new features, new capabilities. And so we've really branded this and rolled it out as our own internal social network. So you can see over here on the left, I have colleagues, and this is the news feed, so I can find out all the statuses that they're updating with. I have Mingle news and announcements here, so I can find out what's happening in the world of Mingle. And then I have how-to videos and links in case people are new to Mingle and they need to find out how to use it. I also have a tag cloud over here, and I'll cover this in a little bit later. If I go to my profile page, so this is kind of one of the main parts of the My Site. So this allows me to see all of the information about me. So this is the profile information. Some of this information comes directly from an Active Directory or an HR system or some authoritative source. Some of it is entered by me. And so if I go over here to edit my profile, you can see that some of this information I get to change right here, such as the picture. Other information, like my organization, I do not get to change. Okay, so that comes directly from Active Directory in this case. And then here is the Ask Me About section. So this is basically telling people what I'm potentially a subject matter expert in. And I can type in any number of different topics inside here. And then this right here is where that knowledge mining comes in. So Outlook and SharePoint are looking at the emails I'm sending and saying, you know, hey, I should be an expert. You know, I might think about putting BPOS in here or file migration or something like that because it's seeing me do a lot of communication around those topics. And then you can see there's just other information down here as far as information that I can enter. And then the other thing that you notice over here on the right is this information I can expose to only me, my manager, my team, my colleagues, or to everyone. So if you have some more sensitive information that you don't want everybody to see, you can scope that down to only the people that you think need to see it. So I'm going to leave my profile and go back to this main page and talk about a couple things here. So this is that, if you remember on the previous screen, the Ask Me About section, these are all of the tags that I'm telling everybody, hey, I know something about this. I'm a potential subject matter expert. And so if somebody comes to my site and they say, hey, I need to talk to you about social computing, they can click on it, and what it does is it takes me to the bottom of the screen, and I have a note board, and so now they can post something on my note board, and then I'll get an email notification, and then I can communicate with them and talk to them, just like you do in Facebook and LinkedIn and all the other social technologies out there. You can see the different activities that I've been doing lately. So you can see I've changed my status a couple of times. I've tagged some different things, and then my status is right up here. So I can come up here and say, Brad is showing Mingle to a group of people. And now I just updated my status. And so now everybody that knows that is a colleague of mine just got that status update. I also have an organization chart up here. This organization chart is very similar to the 2007 version. It hasn't changed a lot. However, what we did is if I go over here to organization, we actually added in a new Silverlight control for the organization. And so what I can do is it starts off with me right here, but then all the people to the right and to the left are my colleagues. And as I just mouse over, it actually lets me go to any of them, and I can click on them, and I can see what their profile says and what information they're exposing. And then I can actually go up the food chain as well. So this is my manager, my manager's manager, so on and so forth. And if I go all the way to the top up here, see if I can get there. You can see Steve Ballmer, and you'll notice that Mr. Gates reports to Mr. Ballmer. So you can find people very quickly and very easily, leveraging this new Silverlight organizational browser. I also have the ability to store content on here, and so you can see that I've got some shared documents, which means everybody can see this information. I've also got private documents, which is only me. I've also got pictures, lists. I can build out kind of my own personal little portal here if I need to. I'm going to skip tags and notes and come back to that. I've got colleagues right here, so you can just simply add a colleague, type in their name. You can also view suggestions. So when I click on that, it brings up a capability to say, hey, based on who you are and what you're doing, you should think about adding these colleagues. So there was a question on is the MySite capability available in SharePoint, the standard version of SharePoint 2010. So if you purchase the SharePoint Server 2010, then it is in the standard client access license for SharePoint Server 2010. You do not need the enterprise version. I can also see all the different sites SharePoint sites that I have or I own, and you can see some of these are being queued for decommission, some of them are active, some of them have alerts, and so I can come here and take action based upon those. Then I can come over here to tags and notes. This is where it gets really, really interesting with regards to SharePoint. So I've got my tag cloud over here. For those of you that don't know what a tag cloud is, basically every time I tag something in SharePoint or any URL outside of SharePoint as well, my tag, SharePoint keeps track of how much I use that tag. And so when I use certain tags more than others, they get very big. So you can see here this MozFizz tag. What this basically means is I've got a lot of customers that are using SharePoint for their .com properties. And so I like to keep track of my customers that are doing that. And so what I do is I just simply click on this, and I can see all of the different customers that are using SharePoint for their .com. So for instance, if I go to Dell Financial Services, you'll see that this is Dell Financial Services, but they're using SharePoint for their .com. And then what I can do is if I want to tag this page, there's just some basic JavaScript that I put up here as a favorite. I click on it, and then now I can tag the page using whatever I want. If I want to add another tag, I can. So let's say that I want to type in SharePoint. And notice that all these tags there's a lot of them that are predefined because it's leveraging all of the tags that other people have entered. And so as I type more, you can see internet, and then I can say, okay, I want to use this tag. I click save, and now I just tagged this URL, right? So think about that. I went outside SharePoint to just a URL called Dell Financial Services, and I tagged the page. Okay? Very important, very impressive. If you think about it as you're cruising around the internet and you're going to all these sites, how cool would it be to just start tagging the sites as you go, and then whenever you go back to your MySite and you have your tag cloud, you can simply click on it, and now you've got access to all those pages that you've tagged. It makes it very easy to organize a lot of information in an easy manner. I also mentioned you have the I like it and the tags and notes. So if I go to a standards website, you see right here I've got an I like it, and then I also have a tags and notes. If I click on a tags and notes, it'll show me what people have tagged the site with, and allows me to tag information on here as well if I want to. And that's on any SharePoint page that you go to. The other thing that I wanted to show you is, if I go to, let's pick one down here, let's go to social networking. Every single tag inside SharePoint has an associated page with it. So as I click on one of these tags, like social networking, it takes me to a dynamically built site for these tags. And so what this allows me to do is it allows me to see all the items that have been tagged with this particular tag. Let me go back to a little bit better one. Social computing, I think, has a little bit more on it. So you can see here that there's a lot of items that have been tagged with social computing. You can see that people have been posting on the note board down here and talking about social computing. I can view people who are following this tag. I'm actually, I list this tag in my profile Ask Me About, so I actually tell people I'm an expert about, or a subject matter expert about this, and I also put it in my interests as well. So you can get a lot of information about all these tag pages, and this is all built dynamically. You don't really have to do anything other than just turn on tagging, and then people can, these pages dynamically get built. So it can become very powerful and create these little communities, if you will, around certain tags and allow that social feedback to start gathering. The last thing that I wanted to show you was some social search capability. So I'm going to do a quick search on people, and I'm going to type in Windows Phone 7. And what it's going to do is it's going to go out and search for all the people that have Windows Phone 7 as a tag on themselves, or as an Ask Me About section, or something in their job description, or some sort of way identifying them with Windows Phone 7. So you can see over here on the left, I can filter some of these searches. So if I know I want to get a technology evangelist, I can click on that, and it will filter the list down to certain people. I can also look at skills. So if I need somebody that has C#, I can click on that, and it filters it even a little bit further, right? And so on and so forth. So a lot of great capabilities in the search. And when I am searching for people, I can immediately add somebody as a colleague. And one of the things the search does is it does take into account my colleague list. So if I do a search, the first thing it's going to look for is in my colleague list and show those first. If I don't have anybody in my colleagues, it looks for my colleagues of colleagues, and then it'll start looking at everybody else. So it does take into account your connections and who you are tied to. And I can add somebody as a colleague very easily right here. I can click on this. It'll take us to the Silverlight organizational chart that I showed you earlier. And then this one's pretty interesting too. It uses a little Ajax here. By hovering over it, it actually shows me different posts or documents that this person has worked on, like the last 5 items. And if I want to see more, I can actually just click down here. It'll do a quick search and bring back more information. So that is a quick tour of the social capabilities inside SharePoint 2010. So I just want to real quick summarize, and then we'll get to any questions that may have been asked. Social computing is here. It's real. It's live. It's going to, you cannot stick your head in the sand and hope that it passes you by, because it will not. It is going to come inside your company one way or the other. One of the things that I get people saying all the time is, oh, well, we block Facebook so nobody can go there from a browser. And I'm like, that's great. Do you block their cell phones? So people are going to do it one way or the other. And so my message to everyone on the phone is, get proactive in your social networking capabilities, and make sure that you aren't behind the curve. Really look at SharePoint and stand something up that your company can leverage and use, and when people come into your company, they can leverage what you provide them rather than going outside your company to leverage other capabilities or technologies. Tessa, what questions do we have?
So one question that came up is around the kind of interesting features, the news feeds, the tags, all of those things. Are those exclusive to Mingle? Were those very customized and developed internally, or is that something that is included in the capabilities of the enterprise version of SharePoint 2010?
Yeah, so that's a great question. everything that I showed you on my site, so my profile page, my content page, the what's new, all of this stuff right here, including the organizational browser over here, the tags and notes, all of that capability is standard out-of-the-box SharePoint. You need to turn some capabilities on, but there's no custom code. You just basically turn it on and let people start using it. So that's a great question. And all the capability that I showed you is available in the standard version of SharePoint. You do not need the enterprise version of SharePoint. So that's a great question. And I get that one a lot. So it's pretty easy to stand this up and start leveraging it.
If there are any other questions, please go ahead and submit them through the Q&A manager.
We'll give you guys a minute or two in case you have any questions, or if you need to see something again, please let me know. I can show you some different capabilities here. One thing I didn't really show you was the Memberships tab. So the Memberships tab allows me to see what I'm a member of, and so this is really helpful whenever whenever a new employee goes into a company. If they have someone doing a similar job, then they can actually go to that person, look at their MySite, find out what memberships they're a part of, things like that, and they can kind of speed up their job, their acceleration of their job. So a question came up to show the I like it, and so basically all you do is you go to a page and you simply click I like it. So I just tag this page with I like it. Now what I can do is go back to my MySite, look at my tags and notes, and you'll see that I have an I like it tag. And so when I click on this I like it tag, you're going to see all the pages that I've tagged with I like it. So you can kind of think of this I like it almost as another way of doing bookmarks in IE. Okay? Instead of doing it directly in IE, you can do it from here. That way if you go to other computers, you share computers or whatever, you can always have access to your I like it favorites, if you will.
Another question that just came up is on the My Site section. Are you able to populate users up front instead of them being listed after they've logged on for the first time?
Yes, you can. So one of the key things that you need to make sure you understand is this organization chart right here, as well as the organization Silverlight organizational browser. There's a field in Active Directory that you need to populate called Manager. And when you populate that Manager field, SharePoint will dynamically build all of this out. And you can actually go in and build them out dynamically, build out the actual MySite. Obviously, it won't have a lot of content, but at least the page will be there. So yes, you can automate that, or you can have individual users go and create it on their own as they hit their pages. So you have a choice.
Another question is, where is the data coming from to display the organization information? Is it Active Directory, or can it come from any data source?
It can come from any data source. Active Directory tends to be the easiest. Like I said, you just simply fill in the manager field, and then it automatically kind of runs with it. So if somebody changes managers, by simply changing their manager field in Active Directory, you're done. However, if you do have another source, like maybe an HR system or something like that, you can leverage that to build out some of the MySite capability as well.
We'll stick around for a couple of more minutes in case anyone else has any questions to submit, but I will be sending you all a recording of this webcast later this afternoon, and so you can pass that on to your team or your colleagues. And again, a copy of the presentation if you have any questions. Thank you guys so much for attending, and again, we have 2 more of these coming up next Wednesday and the Wednesday after, so we'll see you guys all there. One more question. Can you show My SharePoint Sites tab?
So this tab right here shows all of the SharePoint sites that I own or I have created, and then it gives me information. We have policies on our SharePoint sites to where if I don't use them for a certain period of time, then they get queued for decommission, so we can get rid of them. And so I can come here real quickly and see which ones are queued for decommission. Some of them are active, but they still have an alert, and so I can take some action based upon this. A lot of times I'll get an email as well, or I will get an email as well.
Does the tagging affect the SharePoint search results by self-tuning?
Yes. So the question is, as I tag things, does the search engine take that into account? And the answer is absolutely yes. So the more that you tag information, the better your search results are going to be, because the search engine is going to take those keywords into account when it's doing a search. So if I type in the search box a keyword, then it's going to go out and find all the pages with those keywords. And there's a lot of other information too, algorithms to figure out what it shows. But the more you tag, the better your information, your search results will be.
Any other questions? All right, we're going to go ahead and sign off. If anyone has any questions, you guys all have my email address. This is Tessa Wolf with Catapult Systems. So go ahead and email those to me, and we'll get you guys an answer. Otherwise, have a great day, and thanks for attending.
Thanks, everyone.